No, she's not coming tonight. She couldn't make it. She's a migraine. So, okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the August 20th, 2025 meeting of the Auburn School Committee to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. I'll start down here on my right with introductions.
Dan Poisson, Ward 5.
Quinn Gormley, Ward 4.
Corin McWiggin, Ward 1.
Pamela Albert, at large.
Sue Doris, Superintendent.
Jay Rich, at large.
Adam Platt, City Council Representative.
Calvin Vincent, Student Representative.
Amanda Kuchar, Business Manager.
Scott Anier, Assistant Superintendent.
All right, thank you, everyone. Pam Hart could not be here tonight. I'm going to start tonight with the approval of our consent agenda, which includes the approval of tonight's agenda, the approval of the minutes of August 6th, 2025 meeting, and the superintendent recommended certified contracts for Allison Thompson and Haley Worthner. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Quinn, second. Corin. All those in favor? Motion carries. Agenda is approved. I'm now going to open it up to public participation. If there's anyone here tonight who would like to address the Auburn School Committee. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to our presentation this evening, the summer program update. Dr. Doris.
Thank you very much. Mr. Anier will be providing us with the update tonight.
Thank you. The buildings were busy this summer. So we had programs running in every single building throughout the district, elementary and intermediate programs K through 6, East Auburn, Fairview, Park Ave, Sherwood, Walton, and Washburn, grades K through 6. They offered either small group or one-to-one tutoring in literacy, math, 60 to 90-minute sessions up to 3 times a week. Skills maintained or improved for those students. Sherwood Heights CLC, rotating literacy, math, and STEAM sessions, robotics, digital art, animation. Fairview, grades 1 through 5, the Junior Achievement Program, all rooted in their IEP goals, plus tutoring in literacy, math, and engaging and motivating approaches. Secondary, grades 7 through 12, Edward Little ran a program for 40 half credits recovered, focused on credit recovery across content areas, and that was with about 22 students who recovered those 40 credits. We also offered some MLL summer enrichment, which you'll hear about in a little bit from our Miss Alice Crawford. Supported our newcomer multilingual learners with English, math, science, and place-based learning. We also run our Cool School program, which is comparable to the Junior Achieve program at Fairview that is run at the high school. Built life skills, socialization, self-expression, emotional regulation, and critical thinking. And then Auburn Middle School ran their Camp Rise program for 7th and 8th graders with about 20 students in there, STEM-focused, rockets, writing, and literacy. 21 students improved academic standing. And then the Franklin program, their summer program was an intensive program with academics and outdoor learning, and 8.5 credits were recovered there. And our key outcomes serve students across all grade levels, K through 12. Delivered credit recovery, academic support, and enrichment opportunities, strengthened social emotional learning and community connections, and students will enter the school year with improved readiness and academic standings. Across all of those programs, we help support just over 315 students. And with that being said, I thought it would be important to hear a couple programs that we did run this summer. One from Alice Crawford in our summer programming from our MLL students, and then we'll also hear from Stephanie Maris to talk about all of the programming that took place at Park Ave.
I'm a little nervous. So this summer, we saw 12 students. We worked from July 7th or 8th to August 7th on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So 2 days a week, we focused on retaining what they've learned throughout the year and maybe improving on that some. We did that through the lens of nature-based, place-based education, because we really want to build that connection between the students and the city that they live in and the state that they live in. So once a week, we're able to take them out and do some field trips that were really fun. We started close to home with Auburn Middle School and spread out. One I'd like to highlight was Maine Wildlife Park. All of the students had to choose an animal and learn about it, and then at the park they presented a little oral presentation for their peers, but all the other visitors joined in, and so some of them were presenting in front of total strangers. So that was really great for multilingual learners. We also did some math and science skills. In science, we were learning about just outdoor common things, trees and names of plants and things that are around them. So as we climbed Bradbury Mountain, we stopped and took some data, collected data on what kinds of trees, what was on the ground, and when we got back, they analyzed that data and created some visuals to show how the changes of the trees as we went up higher on the mountain, and that was really great. We also focus a little bit on leadership, because as new Mainers, they want to be seen and they want to be heard and they want to be connected. And so helping them learn some skills to be leaders helps them to have a voice and stand up for themselves and others. Is that good?
Hello, everyone. I'm here. Scott asked me to come tonight to speak about the summer school programming that Park Avenue houses in the summertime for our students. Unlike some of the other elementary schools that just have tutoring for smaller groups of students, at Park Avenue we do a different program so that we can not only provide support for some students that might not be at benchmark, but also to continue learning for our MLL population so that they can move forward and increase their reading skills, math skills, writing skills, language, all of that. So this summer, we were able to service 27 students at Park Avenue for a combined total of over 900 service hours. Students were immersed in theme weeks on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. They came to school from 8 to 12 on those days, and a huge shout out to my staff that ran the program and Tiffany Jagir, who was our program director this year, and really immersed the kids in learning really fun things about space and dinosaurs, of course, always a favorite, and exploring the outdoors and all of the components that go with that, and increasing their reading skills and writing skills, social skills. Some of our special ed students that were really working on initiating play and conversations, and through this work we're able to really grow and thrive in their learning with that. Really focusing on helping our students be able to recognize their name and write their name. Our kids are typically K2. We had a couple third graders that were in there as well. After a mishap, actually, we learned from Lewiston, had a fifth grader arrive at one of their schools one day who didn't know their last name, didn't know what school they went to, didn't know their parent name, and that school started calling every elementary school in Lewiston, Auburn to figure out who this kiddo was, because it was a cousin of somebody else. So we moved forward with answering all the WH questions. Who are you? Where do you go to school? What is your parent name? So now all of our 27 kids can do that too, which is another celebration of life skills learning and being able to communicate all of that. So it was a very successful program at Park Avenue. The kids really thrived. It was a lot of fun. We had happy teachers and happy kids, and can't ask for more than that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would follow up. I had the great opportunity to be at Washburn numerous times through the summer. They had 28 students, and they did a really fantastic program. Stephanie Hathaway really spearheads that, did an awesome job. A lot of literacy and math skills taking place for those students that were identified to come, and their attendance was phenomenal. And that was the report that I was getting every time I went to an elementary school. Super attendance by the kids. It wasn't missing a couple days a week. Very, very high levels of attendance. And I certainly can speak to very, very excellent instruction that took place over the summer for those kids that were involved.
Any questions?
You had 315 students. How many professionals did you have or teachers did you have involved?
It varied from building to building. Some were 2 or 3, others were 4 or 5. It really, through all of the programs, you had at least 2 or 3 for each building, and a couple of the other, like Washburn, they were like 5 regularly, the way they had them broken out by groups. It ranged from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5.
So maybe around 20, 30.
Could you explain the difference between a credit and a half credit for me, please?
Yeah, so the way the high school works is it's built on semesters, and semester is half the year, so one semester would be half a credit, the whole year would be the whole credit. And so for some of those students, they earned a whole credit, but it may not have been in that one class. It was a half credit of this and a half credit of something else that accumulated for a whole.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Does that complete
And
your
that-
report?
Yes,
Okay.
that does.
Okay, moving on. Thank you. School committee super and student representatives report. Calvin, do you have anything tonight?
I do not have
Okay.
a report.
Other than being tired from preseason starting?
Yes.
Superintendent reports tonight, Dr. Doris.
Yes, I have one item, and that is that school starts next week. And we are very excited for the new school year. Our buildings and classrooms are in great shape, and transportation and nutrition services are ready to go. And I'd like to thank our administrators and school staff and city personnel for all of their hard work over the summer to get everything ready. We have some schools starting on Wednesday, so I just want to remind people of the start dates. The elementary schools, the middle school, and grade 9 at the high school are all starting on Wednesday, August 27th. And then our students in grades 10 through 12 are starting on Thursday, August 28th, as well as our Franklin and Merrill Hill students. And then our pre-K programs all start on the Tuesday after Labor Day, which is September 2nd. So we are excited and ready to go.
Great. Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Dr. Doris? Okay. So my school committee chairperson's report tonight, just a reminder that if you have not turned in nomination forms for school committee, they are due by 4:30 p.m. tomorrow, back to the city clerk. And then the other piece of information is the MSMA Fall Conference has been announced. That is October 23rd and 24th, which is a Thursday and Friday. If you are interested in attending, please let either me or Dr. Doris know, and we can get you registered. It's a great conference. I highly recommend going if you're able to. Great keynote speakers usually, and some really educational and informative breakout sessions. So I've gone the last couple of years, and I found it to be very helpful. So let us know if you have any interest in attending that. City Council update, Adam.
Not much to report on. A pretty light agenda last Monday. Not necessarily related to the school system, but you might see in the news that the school, City Council passed a 180-day moratorium on needle exchange services in the city. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any about that. But again, not necessarily related to schools. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. We have all of our committee reports linked, including the Finance Subcommittee agenda and minutes, which took place last week, and I don't think we'll bother doing a summary since we're going to talk about those items later in the agenda. We have the Policy Subcommittee that just met last night. The Facilities Subcommittee met last week, as well as the AMS Advisory Committee. Scott, do you want to give us a quick, brief update on those two?
Certainly. The Facilities Committee, Subcommittee, primarily the new business that we talked about was the work that was going on with the AMS Advisory. That was the bulk of that conversation that evening. And so the following night, we did have the AMS advisory meeting. Mr. Wilson went through a really robust presentation about the why and why did, back to the history of what led to this exploration, and then really why does it make sense for sixth grade to be part of our middle school programming. And then from there, we broke out. Harriman had brought some adjustments to the concept plan of what that would physically look like, and we talked about that and worked on that. And a little follow-up, we had some conversation in regards to the National Park Service grant that the Auburn Middle School site sits on. I met with Eric Cousins today, so more to come with that. We've got some information surrounding what that site is and what the implications could be. And then we also went through some enrollment numbers to try to examine what some of our past projections were for the previous 10 years and try to catalog what things would look like moving ahead. And in terms of facility, I do have one minor update because I've shared with you some of the summer work that's taken place, and we talked about that in the facility subcommittee. I just spoke with Scott Holland today. If you travel down Western Avenue, where Harris Street comes out in front of from the high school, they are putting in a flashing crosswalk there. Very similar to the one you see on Court Street at the end of the other side of Harris Street. But that's the work that's going on Western Avenue, and that was just an update that I hadn't been able to provide until today.
Okay, that's great. Anyone have any questions for Scott?
Not a question, but just wanted to say I'm glad that there's going to be something there on Western Ave. We've needed that, absolutely. So thank you.
All right. Okay, moving on. We do not have any old business tonight, so under new business, I'll entertain a motion to approve using $34,369 in FY22 CIP bonds to cover additional costs for the AMS portable, Park Ave condenser unit, Walton shelving, and the CIP master plan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat, do I have a second? Quinn? Amanda, would you like to give a summary about this?
Yes, thank you. 3 of these projects were already budgeted in the FY22 capital improvement bond: the Park Ave condenser unit, middle school portable, and the CIP master plan. But what we're looking to do is adjust the budget to match what the expenditures actually were. And then the new project is the Walton shelving. We had an adjustment to where our library is in Walton, and rather than remove the shelving from the wall and reinstall it, we would like to purchase new shelving that doesn't connect to the wall, the frame of the building, in the new room where the library is going to be. So that's about $7,500 is really the only addition to the budget for capital improvement there.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion about this? Adam?
So I guess just to confirm on the record, we're taking $34,369 of unspent 2022 bond funds and allocating them towards these projects with no impact on the budget.
Correct. And then this would still remain, we'd still have just over $35,000 remaining in this bond that is unbudgeted.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of approving using $34,369 in FY22 CIP bonds to cover the additional costs for the AMS portable, Park Ave condenser unit, Walton shelving, and the CIP master plan. All those in favor? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve the transfer of FY25 budget cost centers in the amount of $446,000 from Article 5 student and staff support to the following budget cost centers overspent in FY25 pursuant to Title 20-A, Section 1485, Paragraph 4, Article 2, Special Education of $46,000, Article 4, Other Instruction, $10,000, Article 6, Other Instruction, $66,000, Article 7, Other Instruction, $63,000, and Article 8, Transportation, $261,000. Do I have a motion? Corin, do I have a second? Pat. Amanda, would you like to just explain this one, please?
Yes, so we just have a draft of our expenditures for FY25 at this point. We haven't started our audit yet, but looking at that draft and going into our audit very soon, we do see overspending in some cost centers and underspending in another. So the suggestion from the auditors and former staff here at the school department is to
adjust our budget so that it matches the expenditures as close as it can be. It's not going to be perfect, but we did have underspending in Article 5. We had a couple positions open, and that article doesn't really have that many positions in it to start with. So that's where that additional funding is coming from to transition the $446,000 from that article and just disperse it to these 5 or 6 other articles that we have listed there, so that our budget, so really we don't go over budget. It gives us a little bit more of a cushion.
Anyone have any questions for Amanda? Pat?
All right, just to clarify, this is the FY25 budget, and you're moving them just laterally within the FY25 budget.
Correct, and it's all staying within that general fund, yes.
Adam?
I guess to your knowledge, is this something that, I mean, I understand that every year you're going to have some buckets that are up, some buckets that are down, and this is an accounting measure to get those in line. Is this something that you're aware that we've done previously in other fiscal years? Is this something we do every year to true up, budget items?
We did not do it last year, but 2 years ago, it was definitely, it was brought to the school committee and approved. I wasn't in this position at that time, but I was actually the person that did the journals to adjust the budget. So speaking to others about this, anything above a 5% overage is really not considered a positive thing. And we do have one cost center that was over by more than 5%. So that kind of brought me to, we might as well look at all of the cost centers and try to clean all of them up. But it is a pretty common practice across the state. When we get into our audit, it's very helpful if we've already done this. So.
Yeah, I mean, from an accounting perspective, this makes sense. I just want to make sure there's precedent to it and we're not doing something that hasn't been done. It sounds like this is common.
It's
and
common,
that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, we have done this quite a few years, just not every year. So.
But there's no overall impact on the budget itself that was approved by the voters, is
The
the
total,
bottom line.
the total
Yeah.
amount is still the
Yeah.
same for expenditures, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Just any idea why the transportation budget is that much over?
We did have some purchase services that were unbudgeted with our Northeast transportation. We at one point had 2 bus runs being covered by them. And again, we didn't budget for that 2 years ago going into FY25. That's a big piece of it. We actually have been doing a little bit of work looking at the transportation budget to try to clean things up so that doesn't happen again. If we look at the last, I would say FY23, 24, and 25, it's a pretty consistent issue in that cost center. So we're trying to really budget properly and make sure that we're not going over.
Any other questions before we vote? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the transfer of FY25 budget cost centers in the amount of $446,000 from Article 5, student and staff support, to the following budget cost centers overspent in FY25: Article 2, special education; Article 4, other instruction; Article 6, other instruction; Article 7, other instruction; and Article 8, transportation. All those in favor? Motion carries. We have all of our upcoming meetings listed through September 17th. I will make a note that the AMS Advisory Committee meeting that is scheduled for the 17th, where that falls on a date that is the same as our regular school committee meeting, that AMS Advisory Committee meeting will be held here at City Hall rather than at AMS. Do I have any other future agenda items or requests for information? Oh,
I know, I wanted to respond to the AMS. Is it still at 5 o'clock?
I believe so. Mm-hmm. Any other future agenda? Oh, Ben?
Did we move health and safety to October?
I believe we did.
We did.
Yeah. Any other? Yes, Gwen.
We have rescheduled that meeting a lot. Can we maybe consider not putting it on a Monday any longer?
We can consider that.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that. It's also, I mean, it's also a committee that doesn't normally meet during the summer anyway, I don't believe. But yeah, we could definitely look at changing the
We'll
day
look at
and
changing
time.
the date at the next meeting.
Any future agenda items and requests for information? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Corin, second. Jay, all those in favor? We are adjourned at 6:25. Thank you, everyone, and good night.